The first item on our agenda tonight is to approve the minutes of our previous meetings, 10/22/19, 10/24/19, and 10/29/19, copies of which were in the packets. Any revisions or corrections to the minutes necessary? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes for all three.
I move to approve, Madam Chair.
Motion by Nutting, is there a second? Second by Smith. Further discussion or questions? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries and the minutes are approved. Item number 2 is discussion and possible action regarding the adoption of the 2019 Business Improvement District Plan and Levy, and we'll have Mary Ann walk us through that.
Sure, this is pretty much just an administrative task by state statute. The Business Improvement District sets a levy, which this year is $72,000, which is the same as the levy in, for the 2019 levy. And we, meaning a council, has to adopt it, and then it's assessed against the property. So, again, the history is that the Business Improvement District was created because the businesses wanted to create it. And the entire $72,000 is used to fund Main Street and all of the downtown activities related to Main Street.
Yep, and the district basically assesses itself for its own expenses, so we're kind of just a flow-through for that activity, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Does anyone have questions for Mary Ann on the bid district or its plan? Go ahead, Linda.
Anyway, I'm just curious to know with the change in ownership in the mall, if you think there might be any change in the bid boundary?
From a statute perspective, there's not real clear information of how to change district boundaries. I know our Business Improvement District has been using membership as a way to have people who fall outside the boundaries participate without having to change the boundaries themselves. So I think that would be one way that they could accomplish it. And, if you recall, there is a minimum and a maximum tax. It used to be $2,500. I think it's like maybe $3,200 now. So that would be the maximum amount that the mall would have to pay.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, do we have a motion to accept the bid district plan and levy? Motion by Smith, is there a second? Second by Martins. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed, that motion carries. Item number 3 is discussion and possible action on authorizing community development to apply for the Wisconsin Lead Safe Housing Program funds through the state of Wisconsin. We've got some information on the program in the packets, and we have Tammy Strotz with us to walk us through this item. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you. So the State of Wisconsin Department of Health Services approached us, meaning we were at a meeting in Madison a few months ago, and they're looking to put a pilot program together to work with grantees who receive CDBG funds to do this pilot program of creating lead-safe housing. It's for abatement of lead hazards in older housing that are occupied with income-qualifying households and children. So it's an opportunity for us to apply for funding to address these homes. We're looking at requesting $200,000. Unfortunately, $200,000 does not go a long way. We're anticipating of hoping to get maybe 6 houses done because the expenses of abatement for lead is very expensive. And there's also a component that we can train some contractors to become lead abatement contractors, which is huge because our area only has a few, and that doesn't help us get the projects done when we need to get them done. We're working with the health department also, who are able to go out and perform these risk assessments to identify lead hazard so that are in homes that help us write out the specs to get the contractors. So my request is, actually after I met with them yesterday, I'm going to be bumping up the request closer to about 210.
Okay. All right.
Any specific questions? It's, like I said, it's a pilot program. Good news is if it's successful, we'll have the opportunity of applying for more funds. So we're hoping to do that. We're just jumping through their hoops right now.
Sure. Well, I think it's good to start somewhere, and any impact we can make on lead abatement makes sense. Dave, go ahead.
Thank you. In abatement, does it necessarily have to mean the removal of old paint, or it could be the covering over?
It could be, yes.
Repainting
It
over?
could be. Abatement depends on the materials that you're using. They like to physically remove things when you can, but there is approved measures that you can cover up so that you're no longer exposed to those hazards. And then they can consider it to be abatement depending on the situation.
I mean, the last time lead paint was produced was, according to my thoughts, was 1978.
1978 was when it became
And-
illegal, yes.
and
That doesn't
so
mean that it's still not sitting in
Whole lot of
basements
painting's
somewhere.
been taking place since
Yeah.
then, but I'm thinking that it would seem that more houses could be accommodated than what your thought is here with just 6 homes, or potentially. But that's the thought that comes to my mind.
No, I agree with you. When we were putting the numbers together, it's kind of staggering. We anticipated it to about $25,000 per house. And because they are looking at abatement, not hazard reduction, and if you say hazard reduction, it means you can just paint over, but that doesn't remove the paint, and that covers it up for a year or two, especially in windows. If you paint the older windows, you raise the windows up and down, there's a friction's going on. The lead is deteriorating, it's creating a lead dust, so you're not removing the hazard permanently. And with these funds, you have to remove the hazard permanently.
It seems in that case you'd pull the whole window out.
You have to pull the whole window
Oh,
out.
window.
And in reality, those old lead windows, they're not energy assistance,
Right.
energy
Efficient.
smart,
anyway.
efficient anyway, yeah. So, but if you're going into a house and you're identifying all hazards, you're talking siding, windows, front porches are a big issue now, and to tear off a front porch and rebuild it is, up to today's standards, is not cheap.
I think even 6 homes, though, is an impact that we'd want to see in
It's
our
definitely an
neighborhoods.
impact, yes.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I mean, you got to start somewhere, and over time, if we could then source more of those funds toward the same program,
It's a great
it seems
effort.
like it would make sense.
And good or bad, these funds have to go specifically to the abatement of it, but because we have other programs, our rental rehab program, our homeowner rehab program, if there's electrical hazards or a roofing issue or plumbing or HVAC, we can piggyback our funds to get more things done in that home.
Sure. Okay. Do we have a motion then to approve the submission of the grant?
We do.
Motion by Nutting, is there a second? Second by Lawrence. Further discussion or questions? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4 is discussion and possible action on a contract for residential and commercial building inspections between the City of Wausau and the City of Schofield. You've got some materials in your meeting packets that we received from Bill Hebert. These are services that we would provide to Schofield on a contract basis, much like other things that we share with them. We work with them already on assessment and wastewater treatment and a number of things. And so we would obviously charge a fee for this contract service, and the contract copy is in the meeting packet. I don't think we have Bill with us tonight, though. We do not. Does anyone have questions, though, that we perhaps can locate the answers to, either get them from Bill or after, or if it's regarding the finances of it, perhaps we can see if Mary Ann's got some of those figures. If not, do we have a motion to approve the contract? Motion by Lawrence, is there a second? Second by Martins. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed, that motion carries. That takes us then to item number 5, which is discussion and possible action regarding a sole source purchasing of engineered sand for winter maintenance. We do have Eric Lindman and Rick Molinetsky with us tonight if there's questions about this. There is documentation for the sole source purchase in your meeting packets, however. Does anyone have questions for staff on the sole source or its documentation? Go ahead, Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've been looking at the documentation, and as much as and I'm sure I'm missing it, so is the price is $10.50 a ton, is that correct? I think it's the very last line. for $3,375. And just a question, this is just for my own edification. What is engineered sand?
It is a crushed rock rather than just the waste sand that we've used for 30-plus years that I've been here. It was the waste sand out of the materials that they get for their concrete products at the concrete companies. This is actually engineered, which is a crushed sand, and it's down to 3/8 minus, or it's got a fractured rock. The county's been using it for a number of years, and a lot of the townships around have gone to that sand. We've tried, we've done a test trial in the last few years, and it's worked quite a bit better. With the fine sand that we've currently used in the past, with traffic and with bounce, it pretty much lands on the side of the road where this stuff will stay. We will have less erosion also into our storm sewer system, because in theory, it won't wash as fast because it doesn't have the real fine particulates, which will be environmentally better for us to use that sand, and we should be able to use less because we can lay the product down and it should stay better for traction.
Okay, great, thank you. I was just curious. I'd never heard that term before, but now I know. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the purchase, sole source purchase of the sand? Motion by Smith, is there a second? Second by Nutting. Further discussion or questions? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed. That purchase is then approved. Discussion, item number 6 is discussion and possible action on a request from Impact 7 to terminate or amend its pilot agreement. This item also comes to us with some advice from the city attorney, and we are also posted for closed session on this item to talk with her about this item. Anything that you want us to discuss in closed session and prior to our dialogue with you? Or in open, rather, sorry. Correct.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the benefit of the public that are present tonight, the memo that I sent to the committee members confidentially, because it contained advice, references the meetings your committee has had in the past on this topic and provides the minutes for that as well. I think you met in June you met in January and April, I believe. So we've been going back and forth for almost a year with Impact 7, who are a benevolent housing corporation exempt by statute from paying taxes. So the payment in lieu of taxes isn't because we're upset that they don't have to pay taxes, it's that they're paying for police and fire protection services and things of that nature. So to delve into it deeper, because we've brought it to you now for the third time, and we have an outstanding invoice that was due March 1st of this year, we want to put it to bed, bring it back to you, and find out what you want to do, because we're either going to have to enforce collection of that invoice or in some way, shape, or form honor their request to either modify the agreement, terminate it, or come up with a different formula by which the pilot payment is calculated. So to that end, as this progressed through the committee structure, Rick Rubo, the city assessor, obtained a lot of financial information from Impact 7, including their expense statements and so on, and income statements, and that we have to protect from public exposure. So the reason to go into closed session would be to share the financial information they provided to him, and then based on that, his recommendation for a modification, if that's the direction you want to go.
Okay, and I think where we left off last time was we had given you the direction to go back to them and try to formulate a different basis by which we could calculate this if they were willing to provide more info. So it sounds like they have. With that, we certainly then could go into closed session and consider the items that the assessor and the attorney have obtained. Does someone want to read the closed session language and make that motion? Okay, go ahead, Dennis, thanks.
Okay, here we go. I recommend we go into closed session pursuant to subchapter 1985, paragraph 1, section F of the Wisconsin statute for considering financial data of Impact 7, which, if discussed in public, would be likely to have substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of such entity referred to in such data, into the data, for the purpose of discussing regarding the request from Impact 7 to terminate or amend the pilot agreement with the city.
Okay, do we have a second for Dennis's motion?
Second.
Second by Nutting. Roll call vote. Nutting?
Aye.
Martins? Smith?
Aye.
Lawrence?
Aye.
I'll vote aye as well. We'll convene for closed session in the Maple Room, and then we'll reconvene in this chamber for action afterward.